The I-131A is the way to get back into the United States so that you can reapply for a green card. There's a lot of special requirements and there's a secret way to use it for some other purposes, which I'm going to share with you today. Let's get to it. Hi everyone, this is Joseph. I'm the managing partner here at Tsang and Associates, where we solve legal problems with creative solutions. So the legal problem here, which is really just a human problem, is you lost your green card. But how do you get back into the country, right? Now you may think, well, can't you just go back to the consulate and just get a document? Not exactly. It's actually quite difficult to go back to the consulate for them to reissue you a visa to get back into the US. Technically, that's under the SB1, but consulates all across the world have been denying SB1 visas, right? In the past 2 years, we've just seen so many. So people who got SB1 denied, we had to go through another route for them to get back in the US. The I-131A, you apply in the US, right? You could do it online, and then you schedule an interview with the consulate, and the consulate will give you a boarding pass, a boarding letter, so that you can get to the airline and say, hey, I'm gonna go back to the US. This doesn't mean that when you fly into the US, that the immigration officer at the airport will let you in, but chances are that is a lot easier than the airline, right? So this is the ironic thing, right? In the past 2 years, we've helped hundreds of people go through this process. Airlines have been the most difficult because to them, they can't just allow anybody on, and they don't know the law. They don't know the law for every single country around the world, right? And the airlines get penalized so heavily each time they bring somebody to the US and they're not admitted, and then they have to bring them back. So airlines typically just will not listen and will not board people. So if you don't have a boarding letter from the consulate, they won't let you in.
It's standard procedure.
Now, SB1, on the other hand, is much better. It allows you to be boarded on the airline and allows you to be entered when you come into the US. Now, an I-131A just allows you to get on board to fly to the US, and you have to convince the officer that you didn't abandon the green card. And once you get into the US, you still have to file an I-90 to replace your green card. Okay, that was a lot of information. Now let me talk about the special use of the I-131A, right? So the I-131A allows you to board the plane. A lot of people have been out of the country for a significant amount of time, right? A lot of people with green cards, they have left the country. When this policy just came out, the law was ambiguous. What does it mean that you have to file for I-130A within a year? Does that mean within a year you have to pay for the application, you get to the interview, and you have to come back to the US? Well, it turns out that a lot of the consulates interpret this to mean when you leave the US, within 1 year time, you need to submit the I-131A application with USCIS and make the payment. And then once you make the payment, then you can schedule an interview with the consulate. And if the consulate doesn't schedule the interview for 6 months, that's okay. After you schedule the interview and after your case gets approved, then they will issue you the I-131 approval notice so that you can fly back to the US. This means that when somebody leaves the US, there's a potential for them to wait almost a year and a half to almost 2 years before they re-enter the US. Now, this is crazy because typically if you leave the US for over 6 months, you are questioned whether or not you've abandoned your green card. And if you leave the US for over a year, it is presumed that you have abandoned your green card and you need to apply for a normal I-131 re-entry permit, which I know it's super confusing. I-131A, I-131, they're not the same thing and you cannot get them confused, and they serve completely different purposes. An I-131 re-entry permit allows you to prove that you need to go outside for a few years. That's the purpose of that. I-131A is you lost your green card, you need to get back, right? It's completely different purpose. But because of the different interpretations of the consulates, people have been using I-131A to serve as an I-131. Now, did Congress intend that? Did USCIS intend that? Did the consulates intend that? I don't know. But just know that only some consulates have been doing this. A lot of people didn't know they were going to be abroad for so long due to the pandemic. They just stuck. Like, there's no airlines flying back. So it's understandable why some consulates have loosened this interpretation. But this is very, very much consulate by consulate basis. You just need to know your own consulate to know exactly if they will accept this. But it's okay. Know that once you apply the I-131A with USCIS, you can choose which consulate will take your interview. I know this was a lot of information. I-131A, I-131, I-90. you only know this from having done it so many times. And we want to provide this information because it's just not out there. If you have a question about your particular I-131, it's not a very difficult case. You just need to know the process. I'm sure a simple consultation will be able to help you. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions. All right, take care. Bye-bye.